out there, folks? It's me, Reese, back again in the truck. Another session of Truck Talk. The topic that's been coming up a lot in life for me lately, relationships. How do they work? You know, how are they maintained? It's questions like that people like myself who are in long-term relationships may even forget to like double check on. You know, how do they work? How are they maintained? How do you keep things fresh, new and exciting, especially when, you know, you're talking about 20 plus years. You know, I've only been in mine going on 5, but for the people that have been in relationships, you know, marriages, or whatever the case may be, for, you know, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, what's the secret to longevity? Because every day can't be blissful. You know what I mean? We don't live in a fairy tale where every day is just like, hey, how you doing, babe? What's going on? Oh, I'm so happy to see you. You know what I mean? It's a little tiring after a while. I mean, these thoughts that I produce are simply on my own and how I feel, and it's just everything's from my perspective. It's just the things that I think about. So for me anyway, you know, keeping a relationship in great standings is not looking at it like it's work. The moment you try, you know, you start to see it as work, a job, that's what it really becomes. Something you have to work at, work towards, work through. Once that keeps coming up in your mind, it's work, that's the moment you start to lose the fun out of the relationship. And once you take fun out of the relationship, it becomes a hassle. It becomes a chore at that point in time. So in my mind, trying new things in life with that person you choose to spend your life with is the best way to keep it, you know, fresh. Keeping their thoughts and feelings in your mind, you know, what may be going on with them on a day-to-day basis. I'm not saying like, you know, ask every day with the mundane, well, how was your day, babe? And how are you feeling today? You know, that kind of like, that becomes really mundane, rundown. So it's really applying that thought at the proper time, you know, especially if that person is going through something on a day-to-day basis, you know, because not every day is the same when you're not together. You know, you have a great day, you can have a bad day, or it could be that day where you just might want to, you know, be to yourself, you know. But checking up every so often on your partner for sake of a better term and not offending people, but checking up on that person you really want to spend your life with, and you chose to spend your life with, is always a great thing. And it never has to be something extreme, you know, like sitting down and having an hour and a 50-minute long conversation about what they want to do in life and stuff like that. I mean, just regular vibing out and conversation really does it for me. You know, just sitting and having meaningful conversation a few times a week here and there, just to open up the floodgates in the relationship. You know, keep things open. The lines for communication open is really helpful, and that goes with everything. You know, the physical aspect, the mental aspect, the spiritual aspect, and the sensual. You know, making sure all of their needs are met. And more than likely, when people say, oh, are all of your needs being met, they really tend to go to the physical/sensual side of it. You know what I mean? Is he taking care of you, or is she taking care of you? You know, are you satisfied? Well, what about the other aspects? You have to really create like a checklist and then make sure all of the other things are being satisfied as well. Because when you have a person who is mentally satisfied, but you know, the other aspect may not, you know, maybe physically, they're not physically satisfied, that creates that 90-10 rule. And that 90-10 rule grows. And if you're not sure what that 90-10 rule is where 90% of, you know, your world is perfect, or okay or is great, but that other 10% leaves your mind to wander. And it could be the thing where, physically you could be satisfied, and then the 90-10 rule is flipped. In any type of aspect, you can actually create that void for that 10% to creep. And then once that 10% creeps, if you let it go for so long, it actually can become a void, a dead space in the relationship. And when you get dead spaces in a relationship, that's where a slight form of separation can happen, where you may find that you're not spending as much time together, or you're not planning to do things together as often, and you become more separate entities as opposed to one. Now, another thing to remember too is you still have to remember that you are your own person. Do not get yourself caught up in your relationship. What I mean by that is, you spend every waking minute thinking about your relationship and what your partner's doing, what's going on through their day, and you don't set time aside for yourself. You have to set that time aside for yourself in order to become the best version of you for the person you choose to spend your life with. Because you can't be so worried about what's going on in your better half's situation or day to day to where you obsess over it. Because once you do that, then it becomes a clingy situation. It's kind of like, leave me alone. You just asked me this 5 minutes ago. Every time I walk in the house, it's just like, hey, well, tell me about it. And it's just like, maybe I want to leave my daily problems at the door, and the only thing I want to do is come in the house and be with you, and just get lost in you. That's another thing you can't do, is just be so obsessed in the relationship to where it becomes a clingy situation. It becomes an annoyance. And I myself has had situations like that where, the woman actually became super obsessive over the relationship, where it actually drove us apart because it was a little bit too much. It was just, way too much. That goes with, knowing your boundaries, knowing your place. And it's not a disrespectful thing, or it's not a condescending thing like that in a relationship. When you're mature enough to go, this is my place and these are my boundaries, these are the lines that I will not cross unless I have to, in a situation where you better have maybe screaming out for help, but not really totally saying it. They might be an introvert a little bit, or keep something from you because they don't want you to feel their burden. I'm like that myself, where I don't want another person to feel my burden, so I kind of tuck things away. But you want to make sure that they can come to you with anything. Again, keep that line of communication open. You keep those floodgates open, and you let that other person know that there is nothing that is too far-fetched to talk about. You have to be that person. You have to be that ear. You have to be that shoulder they can cry on. Nothing is too big, nor is nothing too small. Now, don't go take it on the extreme and be like, oh my God, my day was so bad at work that this girl didn't like my shoes. That's a little bit dramatic. Some people actually will do that. No, I'm not saying like, that type of crap. Come on now. But when there's something going on, you should actually like let that out. Let yourself feel that emotion and go through those stages. Don't harbor any feelings. Allow yourself to process it, feel it, and then release that energy back into the universe. Don't hold on and harbor, because once you do that, you actually start to change. And the more you do that, the worse off it can be for you. Release that stuff into the world. Just make sure you can be there for that person and be there for yourself as well. Because sometimes you do need that time to disassociate yourself with the relationship, whether it be a boys' night, whether it be a girls' night, whatever it may be. And I'm not saying disassociate yourself completely to where it's just like, we not together this day. Nah, it's taking yourself out and then showing yourself a good time outside of the relationship. It's common balance. And when you find that common balance and make it a reality, everything's gonna move a lot more smoothly. It has no choice but to. And the reason why I say it has no choice but to, when your significant other starts to see that you start to implement these little tools, these little gems, your 50% that you're putting into that relationship, because everybody says, oh, I bring my 50, you bring your 50, they will start to see that it's more than 50. It becomes 100%. My rule of thumb is I have to give 100% of my all to actually make up the 50. That means I am purely giving you my all, everything that I have, because I want you to be a better person, just like I want myself to be a better person. I don't want anybody around me to not reach their full potential in life, and I only want the best for people. You know, that's another reason why I keep my circle small. Another tip is, don't tell your business to everybody. I'm not saying, like, you know, to hold everything in, but realize who you want to share your relationship with. Maybe it be good times, bad times, times of indifference where you guys can't see eye to eye on a whole bunch. But really pick and choose who you share your relationship with. The intimate parts and the fun times, like, just pick and choose who you want to share with, because not everybody is, I'm not gonna say like pure of heart, but not everybody want to see you win. Not everybody want to see you do well. Your best homie could be on your side and, in the back of their mind saying that your significant other is not the best for you, because there could be a slight jealousy going on, because their life may not be actually measuring up to what yours is. The things you may look at as a problem could be something totally different to that person you opening your relationship to. And I realized this later on. I would share some, like, when you're young, you share, and it actually starts to hinder your relationship in a lot of different ways, because people have too many different views. When you open that door and you have all these views about this one topic, this one relationship, which is yours, your friends, or whatever, you get all of those people to stir that one pot, can actually change your perception of the person you're with and how you view your relationship. It can actually become pretty detrimental. And once you reach a certain level of detriment, what's going to happen? You're going to separate. It may not have been your full intention, but once you opened up that door for everyone to actually give their 2 cents about your relationship, that's when all the fireworks go off. That's when things like trust can go out the window. You start questioning stuff when you look through people's phone and all the other insecure things. Insecurity is a giant umbrella, and things like trust is just one of the things that's under that insecurity umbrella. Because when you're secure as a person, no matter what, there's nothing anyone can do or tell you. Nothing. Because you're secure in yourself. You know who you are. You have that security of knowing who you are. So nobody can ever rock you. Nobody can ever go, hey, well, you were this person yesterday. How did you change it to this person today? Because you are that rock. You are that steeple, that one thing that your better half can count on. You have to keep insecurities at bay. And if you have any type of insecurities, you should bring them to the table. Maybe talk about them. And if you can open that door up again for the 3rd time, lines of communication, if you can open that door, you may be better for it. Your relationship may be stronger for it. Going back, leaving that door closed for certain people to not be in your relationship. Maybe have one person where you can have a 3rd person's view from the perspective, somebody who is not in your relationship, to say, hey, maybe you could have went about this differently, or maybe you need to see it from this point of view, and not just that one homegirl, that one homeboy who'll be like, oh man, nah, you right. You don't need a yes man in your corner when it comes to relationships. Sometimes you will be right, sometimes you will be wrong, but you definitely need that neutral party that'll be your therapist, for real, to go, yo, you really, nah, you didn't look at that the right way, or you thought about that the wrong way, or maybe that other person wasn't thinking in that capacity, and that's why it led to the indifference. Just one person, mom, dad, grandparents, a friend you've known all your life, or just somebody you feel safe enough to confide in that'll give you that perspective, that unbiased reflection. Not somebody who you may think, oh, I can't talk to them because they may want what I have type deal. No, you need that unbiased point of view. And again, this is just from my perspective. Over the years and in the relationships that I've had, and then looking back, hindsight is the most useless superpower ever. But again, it's still helpful because it can correct the steps you take when you decide to go in that direction again. But just me looking through past relationships and trying to change certain things and implement myself a little more to just be that much better of a person, because once you're a better person in the relationship, you're a better person for the relationship. This is just a couple different things that I think everyone should know, from a perspective that is unbiased, because I like to play the devil's advocate. I like to see both sides. I like to actually take information and process it and then get back to you with a level and clear mind, not really just off the cuff, especially when it's something that's kind of heavy. Like, relationships are heavy. They really are. Even you can have the most fun relationship, but they really are heavy. Just to know that you have this other person that you really are caring for, and that will become that tree that blossoms in your life, and create your family, it creates your memories, it adds to your family tree. That other person you just decide to bring into your life, whether it's just a relationship that is new, fresh, so like early 20s, late teens type deal, or that long term where you're getting into your late 20s, early 30s, that's actually going to carry out into your 40s, possibly your 50s and 60s. You never know, but it changes you. It changes your family around you, especially because you get serious. And when you get serious, you start to bring them around your family, and then family pictures or events and stuff like that. That alters that, because that was during the time period of that one certain person. That's another thing about relationships too. You gotta know who's worthy to bring up around your family. You gotta see who's seasonal and who's gonna stick around. And for the people who don't know what seasonal is for those people that's gonna be in your life for that one period of specific time period. So knowing who's seasonal and knowing who's here to stick around, who's here to stay. Don't open yourself up to the point where this person is so new and you gave all right then and there and they let you down. Don't do that. Be conscious about the decisions you make, who you open yourself up to, and trust yourself first. Make sure you're making the best judgment possible. It goes with time. You can't rush anything, because when you do, it's doomed to fail, because everything it has to happen right now. You get that right now mentality, and with getting that right now mentality, will put a strain on everything. It's just the reality of the situation. You have to look at it. You don't want to put that strain on the relationship. You don't want to make it feel like work. You don't want to make it feel like a chore. Just do the best to be the best possible version of yourself for your relationship, and then inspire your partner, inspire your better half. Bounce ideas off each other. Just talk, vibe out, or even sit in a room and listen to music and just zone out and go back and forth of memories and let songs take you places. Use that as an exercise. You have to exercise your relationship like you would your body, like you would your mind. That's the only way you can keep it, youthful. Don't be afraid to talk about hard subjects. Put everything on the table with your thoughts and your feelings. Just don't be afraid to be you in your relationship, and don't be afraid or hinder your partner from them being themselves too. You know, it can be really easy or it can be really hard, but it all depends on what you two, or however, in your relationship. It's crazy the world we live in now, but it just depends on how you view your relationship and at what point in time you are in your relationship. But the most important thing is the communication side, because that actually is the umbrella to keep everything young, fresh, new, and keep everything light. I'm starting to see that that's the trick for the longevity. Keep the relationship light. Not everything is so serious, and it doesn't have to be so serious. So as long as you can keep it, light and fun, and yes, when those serious times come up, you're mature enough to know how to handle these things and get through them together, then you'll be fine. Will everybody make it? In reality, no. Because you don't realize you change as a person, and the person you may have fell in love with at a certain age, you may not see them for that same person anymore. And that could be within a year's time. You grow every day, but not everybody's gonna make it. But that shouldn't discourage you from finding love and going out and just doing you at all times, because life is not meant to be lived that way. If you really took a hard look at yourself, are you really that happy when you're single? Probably not. You got to keep it all honest with yourself. I know I wasn't. I would say I was, and single life is the best. That's you talking from your child membrane, from your early 20s. You may physically and chronologically be an adult, but when you look back and you look at your childish ways and your childish thoughts, that's exactly what they were. But I'm not gonna harp on this anymore. I'm not gonna talk your ear off to death, but take these jewels, man, and implement them. Put them to use. I'm just here to help. That's what the purpose of Truck Talk is. So I want to say thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, and I'll have some more great content coming up. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm more interested in the comments, honestly. The subscribes, yeah, that's great, because I really want this to reach people, but I'm really interested in comments. I really want to, discuss these things and make this a topic, because ultimately when you talk about it, it makes people better. So, to the next time, world, thanks for tuning in, and I'll get a better schedule soon, but I'll see you next time. Take it easy.